Hello everyone, welcome back to WeResin Texas. Today I've got a mold that I've had since last year. It's an resin mold. I've never poured in this mold because when I got it, it was, fall had already been over and all that. So this is the pumpkin mold. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but if you haven't, you're going to see it today. So here I'm just pouring my resin. I'm doing 10 ounces of Bond Crafter 1-to-1. I always pour my B first, and then I always pour my A. And I will tell you, these little honey jars are so much easier to pour out of than the big containers that they come in. So I always transfer mine over, but they're way easier. So yeah, I know this holds 10 ounces. So, and what I'm going to do, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm going to put it on the stand for the mixer and let the mixer mix it up real good. And I will tell you, this Resiner's mixer here, oh my God, game changer. I love it. I did just, however, a few days ago, got the little handheld one from Resiners. I purchased it myself, so I haven't got to use it yet, but I'm excited. I want to use it so bad. But I've got to get through these videos first so I can start filming some more. I was going to start today, but the dentist called yesterday and they had a cancellation, so they want to get me in. And that's the lid. The big one is the jar on the pumpkin, and then the lid is that one. And I do the lid in 2 different colors. Now I will tell you guys, on these kind of molds here, and it doesn't matter which ones they are. If they are deep molds like this one and you have a lid, your lid color is always going to be different than what your jar color is going to be, because of the jar being deeper. It's going to be a darker color. The lid, because it's so shallow, is going to be a light color, and it doesn't really matter how much alcohol ink or anything you put in it, but you're going to have to, if you want the same amount and you want it to look the same, you're going to have to add more color to your resin to make that lid look the same color as the jar. And you'll see what I'm talking about, because I had to add more to make that lid come out like that jar. And here I'm just cleaning off my paddle to my mixer. These little scoopers here, or scrapers, they're nothing more than what your hairdresser uses when you go to get your hair colored. That's all those are. Now the blue one laying on my table, that one has kind of like a curved bend on the other side. And those are real good for cleaning off, cleaning out your cups, scooping off all the resin off your mixer paddles. These little things here work real good. And if you can see in the background back there, oh, sorry, that was my alarm. If you can see in the background, there's a green one sticking out. So they come in all different sizes. You'll get some big ones, some medium. Sorry, some smaller ones. But yeah, you'll be able to get, plenty of extra ones in there. But they come in super handy. And it takes hardly any time to clean that paddle off. And it keeps your hands clean. I was using my fingers until I got these um, scrapers. So, yeah, and then everything was sticky. So, invest in you some tools, to, if you have the mixers or whatever, to clean your paddles and things like that. Yeah, you can use a stick, but it just takes so much longer. And then if you clean it with alcohol, while all the resin's still on there, then you've wasted all your resin. So that's why I do it that way. Um, and then when I'm done and I've scraped it all off, I just pull it off, clean it off with alcohol. I take it apart, and then I keep it apart, just in case resin got up inside the hole. And then, because I don't want it sticking to where, and resin in itself in there, and then you can't get it off. So I take it apart and I don't put it back. So until when I get ready to use it again, then I'll put it back. But, and there you can see I took it apart. And so I did put this in the vacuum chamber, but I kind of edited all that because y'all can't see my vacuum chamber anyway. So I just kind of edited that part out. But I will separate this in 2 separate cups because of the fact that I put it in the vacuum chamber. But and then that small cup that I have right there, and I put way too much in that little cup for what I needed. I'm doing that brown for the stem on the lid. Because of course pumpkins have brown stems. They're not orange and they're not green, they're brown. But I still put way too much. I didn't need that much. But I mean, it all worked out in the long run. Um, and I don't know, in a couple of videos ago, I told you guys to make sure that y'all keep, kind of a dump mold handy. You're going to see what I'm talking about in this video. So, in case y'all didn't understand what I was talking about, you'll see it in this video. Here, yep, I just did 1 drop of the brown because I didn't want it too overpowering, so I just did 1 drop. And I'm so sorry that I'm yawning and I'm so tired. I'm just now on my first cup of coffee, and I've been up since 3 o'clock. Yeah, so it's like, I think I'm dreading to go to the dentist. I got to go have a deep clean done, and I am not liking that. Okay, so then now I've added 2 more drops because that one was too light. And I can tell you, you can always take a paper towel when you mix it up. Take your stick, wipe your stick across your paper towel with your resin on it, and that's the color you're going to see, what's on that paper towel. So you'll be able to know if that's the color, if you need it darker, if you needed it lighter. So that's why I would start out with, minimal drops as possible, and then, wipe it across your paper towel. And if it's too light, then, you need to add another drop, and then just continue, going down the line that way. That way you don't, wind up with a color that you really don't want. And here I'm stirring kind of crazy because, like I said, this is all going to go in the vacuum chamber. These molds, you cannot spray alcohol in. I mean, you can if you want to mess up your high dollar molds. And these molds here are not cheap, guys. So That's why I say if you're going to have these kind of molds, you need a vacuum chamber or a debubbler. You don't have to. Now, if you're going to do blooms, I will say this, you have to have a vacuum chamber or you have to have a debubbler. No questions asked about it. It will not turn out. It won't work without it. Tried it, done it. A whole lot of other people has tried it. It's not going to work without a vacuum chamber. I don't know why. It's just, it's weird, but it's a thing. Now here in these, you can get the bubbles out. You're just sitting there literally digging and digging and digging these bubbles up to the top. And these things are super faceted, so you're going to be continuously digging these bubbles out. Now, I will say this on this one, I put in way too much orange. And I knew I did after the fact. Yeah, I did not intend for that thing to be that orange, and there was no way I could tone it down. So I had to roll with it. So that's why I'm saying, and that's a lesson taught right there to you, that test your color. Don't just squeeze your bottle like, I did, go crazy and squeeze your bottle, because then you're going to wind up with a color that's really, I mean, it turned out gorgeous, anyway, but it's just not the color I had intended on it to be. I mean, I knew I didn't want it a bright orange, um, but I didn't want it quite this dark either, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So that's why I say, make sure to test your color on a paper towel, and if it's too light, add another drop, and just keep doing it until you get the right color that you're looking for, and then stop. And here's where I'm putting in the vacuum chamber. And I don't put the brown in because the brown is just going in that little stem there, and that stem's going to have a bubble anyway. It's inevitable. So literally, I'm just having to mess with it to get the bubble out. And you can do it. I mean, it's not hard to get the bubble out of something like this. You'll be able to do it. Seen that pesky little bug flying around me. I don't know what it is. You start pouring resin and you get all these little black bugs. Now that looked like a gnat, not a gnat, but a moth to me, because the grandkid probably had the door open, and it was probably late when I was pouring this mold or something. Um, but that's what that looked like, flying around me. Either that or a fly, and them things drive me crazy too. Just wait till you walk in and you've actually got a bug or a fly in your resin piece. Ugh. Not all's lost. You can sand it down and get the fly out, but it's just time consuming and it takes up a lot of time. So, but it can be fixed. Anything can be fixed, or so I've heard. Now, granted, there's a whole lot of things that I've not been able to fix, but then I probably could, but I don't try. I don't mess with it. If it's messed up, I'd rather just, whatever, and just redo it. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna waste my time sitting there trying to figure out how to fix it, or Now if it's something I can sand down and things like that, then I will. But if it's something that's just, really horrible, and it just, yeah, I'm not gonna fiddle with it. I learned my lesson on that one, and then I know what not to do on the next one. So that's, everything's a lesson, and you'll learn it doing resin. Trust me. because as they always say, resin is going to do what resin wants to do. And believe you me, it does that a lot. You have, once you pour it, you have no control over what it's going to do. It's going to do what it wants to do, and that's the way it's going to do it. And you ain't the boss at that point. And here I'm going to pour the orange in. And I'm pouring really, really slow. And if you'll notice, I'm pouring on that top piece and just letting it, kind of run down the sides. That's going to stop those bubbles from being incorporated into that mold. Now, if you go straight down and you start pouring real fast, you're going to incorporate all kinds of bubbles in that jar. So you want to pour slow, pour on the top. If you have a top, you can pour on it and pour it slowly and just let it flow down the sides of it. I would say if you don't have one, pour from up high, but still pour slow. And ever so often, check it to see if you have any bubbles before you go any further. Don't just pour the whole mold. Check it. If you have bubbles in there, start digging them out then. Don't wait till you fill it up and then you've got to get bubbles out, because it's going to be a lot harder to bring them to the top. So I'd pour a little bit, check to see if there's any bubbles. See, I checked there. I checked to see if there was any bubbles. So I would pour a little, check it, pour a little, check it, Now, when I get it all poured, after the fact, I will spray alcohol. But I won't spray alcohol in these molds. I paid too much for them. And I bought these before I ever had a YouTube channel. So in fact, I bought this mold when it came out. So it was very expensive then. They've dropped the price on it significantly. And that's assuming they still even have it. I don't know. But I know the last time I was on there, they had it down to like, I don't know, $70 or $80. Yeah. That was almost half the price of what it was when it first came out. So, like I said, their molds, they're nice, but they're not cheap, but they are very good molds and beautiful molds. Oh my God, they're gorgeous. I wish I could own every one they had, but yeah. Unfortunately, can't. No, that is a little gnat. I see it now. I was complaining the whole time about that stupid little pesky flipping bug. It never fails. I can pour resin and they just, I don't know even where they come from. Have no clue to where they come from. It's almost like a fruit fly, but I don't even have any fruit in my house. So I don't know where they're coming from. The exterminator has sprayed. He don't know how they get in. He has a lot of clients that are like that. They have them and they spray, but they don't go away. So I don't know what kind of bugs they are, or flies, or whatever the little pesky things are, but I know they're pesky as everything. So but yeah, so here I'm just topping off this mold to get it domed up so I can get the lid poured. But now this, like I said, this thing does hold 10 ounces. And also you want to go underneath the lip of your jar, because that's where the bubbles are going to hang out, is right there. So you definitely want to go in there and dig them bubbles out. And as thin as the top is, you should be able to see it. You'll be able to see the bubbles to know where they're at. And just keep going around the lip of it until you get, all of your bubbles out from underneath that lip, because they will get under there. That's for sure. And here I'm just going around the edge and the bottom just to make sure that, you know, I don't have any bubbles or anything there. I'm bringing them to the top. And I had a few. And that was even after the vacuum chamber. But like I said, I'll spray alcohol on that once I'm done with everything. I'll spray alcohol on it and it'll pop them. So I'm not too worried. But also, what you could do too is before you start pouring, spray your spray your resin with alcohol and kind of maybe stir it up a little bit real slow, and then spray you another couple of spritzes or whatever right before you pour it into your mold. You know, it's not as bad as just spraying alcohol inside of it. So I would definitely spray the resin, you know, and get the bubbles out, and then you'll be okay. And then afterwards, you know, you can do like I just did, and then just spray them to the top, and just spray them, and then you have no bubbles. You're bubble free. But you'll continue to fight them under this lid, um, especially if you know you don't have a vacuum chamber. You're gonna keep fighting the lid or the rim of the jar because of the bubbles. But they will eventually they'll come to the top. You know, you just got to keep playing around with them and getting them moved. But it's not too bad. Now I don't mix that other cup in with this cup because I don't want to incorporate bubbles. So I'm gonna pour this one first, and then if I have to have the other one, then I will use it. And right here's where I'm going in with some more alcohol ink because I know that the lid is not going to be as dark as that jar because the lid is shallower than the jar is. So I've got to definitely put some more alcohol ink in there if I want that lid to be the same color as that jar. So just remember that if you've got a deep mold and you've got a lid, your lid's going to be shallower, your jar's going to be deeper. So you need to compensate your color on your lid, you know, to match the color of your jar. Or one's going to be lighter and the other one's going to be darker. That's just, it's a given. It's the way it is. And here I'm just mixing up the alcohol ink that I just added into there. And then I just keep adding until I get the color that, you know, I had for the pumpkin. And then I'll pour it in the mold and pour the here I'm going to pour the resin into there. And I'm going to pour it around. I pour it around the outer edge. I don't want to pour it directly in the middle because I have that brown in there for the stem. So I want it to slowly incorporate. You know, I don't want it to incorporate all at one time with that brown. So I pour it around the outer edge of that mold and just kind of let it run down a little bit because I'm trying not to incorporate too much orange into that brown because I still want my stem to be brown. I don't want it to be orange. I want it to be brown. So now I'm going to scrape the side. And like I said, I had a little bit of brown left. I mean, not really a whole lot. I mean, more than what I should have, but it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. It's going to go into my dump mold or my extras mold, shall I say. And what that'll normally what a lot of people do, they give that away. It's a giveaway, you know. Um, I still haven't finished filling it up yet, so more than likely, and usually it's a rainbow of colors. It's usually all different colors, and it's usually they, you know, we draw or whatever to, draw your name and give it away or whatever. Um, some people want something like that and some people don't, so it's fine if you don't. It's not that big of a deal, you know. I don't I don't know that I would want a rainbow of colors either, but some people think it's cool, but I usually just give stuff like that to my grandkid. 'Cause she doesn't care. She'll take anything as long as it's if it's she looks at it like she comes home from school and I have something for her. That kid don't care what it is. She's just ecstatic. She's happy. She keeps begging me and begging me and begging me to do them squishies that I have two kits of squishies back there from Let's Resin and that I bought, and she is just dying to do them. And I really only bought them because of the molds. I don't like the squishy um stuff, and I really don't like the flocking powder that they have with theirs. And their Let's Resin's brand of squishies is really sticky if you don't use the flocking powder. I mean, it's almost impossible to touch them things without flocking powder on them. But like I said, I really only bought it for the molds. I didn't buy it for anything else. I could care less about the squishy. Now here's the mold that I was talking about. So just get you an extra mold that you can just dump all your colors in and just call it a day. And then that way you're not wasting resin. You know, is it going to turn out all different colors? Absolutely. But that's, that's the fun of it. Kind of see what kind of creation you created at the end of when you fill it up. So I know there's brown and orange. I know there's pink in it. Yeah, there's all different colors in that thing. And I'm really not even sure at this point because it's been a while since I've made this mold or made these pores. I'm really not even sure what that is anymore. I don't know if it's a squirrel or a porcupine. Not really sure what it is. All right, guys, now we're on to demold. So here we go. We're going to demold this little bad boy. And it turned out so pretty, y'all. Very minimal cleanup. Um, and let me say, clean your mold before you start taking it out. And then it's already cleaned. You don't have to worry about it. Once you take your piece out, then you can put it up because it's already cleaned. And then you don't have to worry about it. Now that brown, I mean, it did get a little bit of orange in it, but for the most part, the brown, you can still see it. It's kind of it's there, you know. So, but I didn't have a whole lot of cleanup at all, and it just I can't. This mold here, I love looking at it. It's so faceted. It's so sparkly, and when I first seen this mold come out, and I seen I think Michelle was the first one to get it. I was like, I want that mold. Gotta have that mold. So, and I got the mold, but it was, after fall. I think it came out in like August, maybe September, some way before October. Now granted, I didn't get mine till I think January is when I got mine. but nonetheless, it's still just, it's gorgeous. And it's really not that hard to demold because they're silicone. They use really soft silicone. I want to say it's like a 10A probably. I know it's nothing like a 15 because 15 is hard as heck. Y'all seen how my struggle on the last video. Now, because this is the first time I've ever poured in this mold, there is a lot of silicone that has come out of it. And that's just the nature of the beast. It's going to happen. So anytime you do a silicone mold, you buy a silicone mold, whatever, especially something like this that's that faceted, you're going to have a lot of silicone to come out. And it's fine. You just, go in there, pick it out, and, you're good to go. It's not that, and it'll do it like the first 1 to 2 times, until all that silicone, that loose silicone gets out of there. But it's not, it's not going to hurt anything. Just, dig it out the best you can, or whatever. And, a lot of it, of course, was around the bottom, so I can get that cut off pretty easy. Now, just in case anybody asks, no, I do not have this particular piece anymore. I sold it, but I do have the mold. So if you want one, I can still make you one. But I just don't have this one. It did sell, so. And here I'm just picking out the silicone. I'm just going through there and picking out silicone out of it. Because you can see it. I mean, it's not really real noticeable, but it's noticeable. So just know it's, it's there. You can see it. And especially around the bottom. So I'm just going to get my deburring tool here. And I'm just going to go around the edge. And just kind of cut that off. And I'm trying not to scratch my piece up. Because, like I said, y'all all know me and that little tool. Oh, we don't like each other. And here I'm just barely trimming the lid up. Now this lid has a notch in it, and the jar has a notch. So the lid will go on one way, and then you barely twist it, and it kind of holds it, holds the lid in place where it doesn't, kind of like a lock, but not, it doesn't really lock. It just, you kind of twist the lid a little bit, and it kind of locks it, from coming up so easy. But this mold is just, God, stunning. I'm gonna have to make me one. I don't know why I didn't make me one last year, but it's just, I can't get enough. I mean, and you'll see me fight with this stupid lid because I thought it locked. And it doesn't. And as you can see here, my lid is still a little bit lighter than the actual jar itself. I still didn't put enough alcohol ink in it, so y'all can kind of see what I'm talking about. It matches more of the faceted part than the crystalled part. But I mean, it's fine. It's still pretty. So, and really, it's not. I mean, it's not that noticeable. Y'all probably wouldn't even notice unless I pointed it out to you. But and I don't know. Maybe you might have. But it's, it's really not that big of a deal. It's pretty close. But that's what I'm talking about, though. You gotta make it really dark to make that lid the same color as that jar. And I'm still fighting with that crazy lid because I'm thinking this thing's supposed to lock. No, it doesn't lock. There is a notch that, like I said, you put it in there and you twist it just a little bit, and it kind of holds it in place, you know, from falling out or whatever. But and you can see the notch there on the side. Still fiddling with that thing. I was looking in the mold to see if it locked. And no, it doesn't lock. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I've had this mold too long and I haven't seen anybody else pour in it. Not even this year. I haven't seen anyone do this mold. And when I'm going to spend my money and spend my money on something that expensive, I'm going to use it. And I don't care if I've used it once or twice. I'm going to use it the next year too. If it fits the theme, I'm going to use it. Because I don't really do like Halloween, and I usually don't do holidays, period, because I'm too busy and I have too much going on. But now pumpkin you can use for Halloween, you can use it for fall. You know, you can't go wrong with pumpkin. And here you can tell it's even got, you know, uh crystals down in the bottom of the jar itself. So, but that pumpkin is just gorgeous. Now, the facets, you know, the diamonds and things that are on the outside of the jar, those can be, you know, colored or whatever, you know, whatever color you want to paint them. If you want to paint them, you want them painted a color, we can paint them a color. So that's not, you know, that's not any big deal, but um that's generally done after the fact. And um over time it will wear off because it's just going to be oil based paint. But that thing, to me, it's just gorgeous no matter what you do. All right, guys, that's the end of the video. Be happy, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.